Around 7 years ago, I drew these plans. I had the idea to build this restaurant, drew the plans, and started working on them. They evolved over the years on trips to the hill country, and it at first started out to be sort of an old hill country style Texas restaurant, but as it turns out, it looks more Wyoming-ish, Montana-ish, Wyoming-ish, Colorado-ish. But we walk in the entryway, and like in this particular building, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do when I did it. I had the plans, but I didn't have the vision of it till I started standing the walls up in the big timbers. And so the height of these ceilings all varied after I started construction. But we came in here, put 18-foot ceilings in here to get the height for the, I knew that I wanted antler chandelier, I wanted the buffalo heads and elk heads and ram's heads, and around 6 years ago when I started the plans, I started collecting all these mounts and the guns and to get the ambiance of this whole deal. But and I got my lumber here from Satterwhite. All the interior of this was, and the exterior lumber was from Satterwhite Log Homes. But what we did, we just, me and a salesman walked through the alley and walked through the Satterwhite warehouses and looked for lumber. And we'd find some cypress, we'd find some pine, we'd find some spruce. And then we decided to distress it, and that's basically how this came about. The antler chandelier came from Phoenix, Arizona. A lot of the light fixtures we had made down in Mexico, but then you walk through here, like the kitchen's in the wrong place, but I put the kitchen in a place where it had no view. It was the highway and the back of another building. So why should I put tables there with a view out at that? So what I did, I put the kitchen in the part of the lot that had the worst view and opened the rest of it up. And they had the hallways, and I wanted rooms. I didn't want just one big room like a normal restaurant. I wanted rooms like a lodge or like a big house, a log cabin. The restaurant before when I decided to build this, I put out questionnaires about, do you like booths, do you like tables? I was not going to put any tables in this restaurant, booths in this restaurant, but about 50% of the people wanted booths. So I put a booth room in here and put walls in it to add more booths to it. And that's how this room became a booth room. Extra large booths so you can seat six people comfortably. I had no idea if this was going to be cathedral ceiling, 12-foot ceiling, 10-foot ceiling, but the day that we decided to put the walls up, I decided to put this flat and make it a little more formal. So I put it flat 12-foot and then used the beams, the hand-drawn beams for the ceiling treatment. Almost got an Italian villa look to it. In fact, there's a lady that eats with me all the time that says this reminds her of home. She's from Italy. And in fact, that piece right there came from Italy. That's about, that's an age of about 1750 is about when that was built. My wife did the decorating on it and the colors. Got a wine rack here. Of course, the kitchen is large for this size restaurant. We seat about 350 people. And then this room was really a room that I had no idea what I was going to do in here. At one time, I was going to try to make this look like the Shootist, the movie The Shootist with John Wayne, where he got shot. It was going to be very formal background, but as it got going, and like I said, I stood the walls and then decided what to put these flat areas and then cathedral up. It just started taking a life of its own. We had those light fixtures built in Mexico. The chase back there where the indirect lighting was just basically a function of what I had to do. There's a lot of, there's water, gas, sprinkler system goes back through there, so I had to cover it up. So in effect made a trough and I decided to put indirect lighting in there that's going to really look good once I get the rest of my heads up in there. I've got 2 buffalo heads coming from Austin. They hung in the Driscoll Hotel from 1866 to 1940, and we've got those 2 donated to us, and they're going to go up there along with an elk. And the back bar, it's sort of a primitive back bar. It's not, you know, I didn't make it fancy. I just put the columns up and with not very much trim, just to give it more of a lodgy look to it. Have a little seating area over here to make it a little cozy for the fireplace, for the viewing of the fireplaces. Didn't put many TVs in here because I want it to be more of a laid-back place, not a sports bar. And this room was just a mixture. I had no idea what I was doing in here until we got in here, and I had to put a flat part. Actually, this was going to be a flat ceiling, but I had to leave part of it flat because of the air conditioning systems for this particular room. Then I cathedraled the other part. Since I like the other cathedral ceiling with the fireplace, I decided to do that in here. So that's how this came about. So it was really just a build-as-you-go type project, but being the owner and the builder, it made it easy for me to do all that. And then outside, this is what I'm really proud of, and this is the part that I had no idea what I was doing on what I was going to do. I knew that I wanted to do a lot of different things with logs and timbers and 1x12s and stucco and brick and rock. And I ended up, the only place I knew what I was going to do is where I poured a brick ledge, and that was on this section right here. I could have rocked this under here, but I actually saw an old episode of Bonanza, and I was watching Little Joe and Ben Cartwright sit out in front of the house, and I saw this. So I ended up putting that on the front porch, and I liked it so well I put it on the back porch. So that took care of this, and the rock took care of itself. And then I wanted a little something different over there, and I was over at Satterwhite's one day, and I found some cypress back in the back part of their warehouse. I was actually outside under a shed, and bought all they had of the cypress. And so that's how that cypress got there, and I'd put it on a horizontal. I was going to put it vertical, board and bat, but I decided to go horizontal. The stucco, we did ourselves. I never could find anyone that could do it as rough as I wanted, or more rust. I wanted it rustic, so we did it ourselves. We were going to do a lot more out here, but we just made it a little simpler. I mean, it's nice. I love it. And the landscapers that I use for my home building business, we all got together, my wife and me and them, and we put this together with the fire pit, and everyone seems to love it, and it's beautiful out here. People in the afternoons, we pack the house. So.